Hello.
Hi-ho, hi-ho.
How are you?
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Get started soon, huh? Yep.
I don't know what's going on here.
Well, I guess you're gonna have to give the share tonight, Mario.
Huh?
I guess you're gonna have to give the share tonight.
Yeah, are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay.
Okay, start giving it.
No, you're starting to give it. You're gonna give it.
I don't know what this is. Yeah.
Chaf base. Chaf base. Of an olive.
No, I know where we are, but something is not.
Yeah, where are we holding? It's
How'd your team do today? How'd the Browns do?
base. Oh, the Browns, they lost to the Steelers.
Yeah,
A horrible game. Horrible.
Yeah, yeah,
Both teams
yeah.
were bad.
Some,
Really,
Seahawks
yeah.
won. Seahawks won.
Seahawks won finally, yeah, finally.
What happened to Russell Wilson? Why isn't he playing?
He's broke his finger. He's been out for 4 weeks. That's why they
Broke his
lost all the
fingers.
games. Sure, that's why they lost. This guy, Smith, you know, the guy
He's
that
terrible.
yeah, but today he was pretty good though.
Today he was good, but last week I was watching. Oh my God, he was ridiculous.
Terrible, but because he doesn't throw to the two best ends
Exactly.
in the yeah,
The
he's
guys
got
are open. He doesn't throw to them. He can't see.
all you do is throw to them, they'll catch it. You throw them anywhere, they'll throw it to Metcalf and what's his name, the other guy. They catch it. They can catch anything from any place.
I know. He
They
can't
just
see
throw-
them. It's
You can't see it.
ridiculous.
They just throw to him where it could be. That's why Russell was so good. He zips it in there wherever they're
But
at.
even for a short guy, Russell's short.
Yeah, but he can see.
He can see the field.
Yeah, but when he gets back, maybe they have a chance of playoffs. Although I don't know. Maybe it's an outside chance.
I was watching Brady play today. He got intercepted at the very end of the game.
Go glad. Yeah, he's not infallible. You know. They
Yeah, but
finally,
at the end, he goes home to a supermodel. No one else does. He's laughing at everybody else.
with his boat. Did you see his boat? He's got a boat that's about a half $500 million boat.
Really?
He got a gorgeous boat. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Why not?
He's all the commercials, and you know he's got it. 44
Oh
years old.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well. All right. Well, what can you do? Oh.
See, you should have gone into football. You made a big mistake. You went to yeshiva instead.
That was my yeah.
You blame your parents.
I went into wrestling anyhow. I used to be a wrestler.
Really?
In YU, I was a good wrestler. YU.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I'm not going to start up with you. I'm not going to start up.
We used to travel. All over.
I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
was
Ernie,
pretty good.
did you know Alan was a wrestler in college?
Yeah, I did know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
At UC University.
Did you know Bobo Brazil?
The coach of mine was a world Olympic.
Neil Mascaras. You know what? I don't know what it is about the Jewish refugee men.
They love wrestling.
But my father would not miss wrestling.
I
I mean, it was
also
completely
by us.
great.
I
It was
know.
great, but
Mr. Guest was a huge fan.
my dad
Yes.
would not miss that.
Ken would go crazy over it.
Who?
Kess
Yeah.
Mr. Kess on the show was
Yes.
such a fan. He would go crazy over it.
Never understood that.
Yeah, I know.
I never understood that. My dad always told him was, he couldn't watch it. Okay, whatever.
It was great.
The sleeper, the Mark Lewis, the sleeper.
The sleeper.
And they would do it in his hand.
The good
No,
old
but
days.
Elazar was a real wrestler. That was
Yeah.
college wrestling. I think they wrestled Princeton, and I mean they wrestled all those Ivy League schools. Those were
We didn't get that far. We the
Now he
second-
wrestles with a Mishnah.
Yeah. Second, the coach of my team was an Olympic champion, gold medal in 48 and 52. He was Jewish man, Henry Wittenberg. And he wanted me to wrestle for the Maccabiah in Israel. When I was in Israel, he offered me to, yeah, but I had to leave yeshiva at the time to go train. I didn't do it.
Do you have a picture of yourself in tights?
My kids do. I look good at what.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh well. I can't live in the past, so.
No, that's true.
Yeah. Okay.
Where are we? Chof Aleph? Where are we today?
We're on
Base, no?
Huff base.
Off of base.
Operator, thank you. Wait while I transfer your call.
I just got paged. It's like the Sutton knows when we're going to start learning, and all of a
Exactly.
sudden, boom. Yeah, this is Dr. Agatstein. I got paged to 27893 in the emergency room.
Yes, one moment, please. Thank you. Just 12 and older. PIH Health Pharmacies in Los Angeles, Whittier, and Santa Fe Springs are now offering all of the 3 COVID-19 vaccines. Schedule your appointment via.
Hi, Dr. Agassi.
Hi.
Hi, let me get Doctor's 40 for you. One moment, please.
Okay.
Pharmacy to find the location nearest you.
Okay.
Yeah, Ernie, when you ask if he's comfortable, the answer is he makes a living.
No, I mean, if someone has a kidney stone, but they're not in any pain anymore, usually they can go home and we can treat them electively as opposed to admitting them to the hospital and having to do surgery on them, as an emergency. Okay, so we're on Chav Beis Amud Aleph. Ma'aseh she'aru Yosef Rabboim Zug V'ik Rabbi Akiva. The Mishnah told a story that there were 40 pairs of Eidim that were going to go on Shabbos, and Rabbi Akiva sort of held them back because he said, well, why do we need all this potential Chilul Shabbos? There must be other people who saw it. If there's 40 people, then there's other people. But the Mishnah responded, no, that's not correct. They should let them go. Because otherwise you're going to be machshel them la'asid lavo. If you refrain somebody from going now, they won't go in the future. Tanya, I'm Rav Yudah, chas v'sholom Rabbi Akiva ikvan. It wasn't, the story is not correct. It's not Rabbi Akiva, Elisha Zephyr. It was a person Zephyr, Rosh shall get there. He was the mayor of the city of, or the Morad Asra of the city Geder, Ikvan. V'shalach Rabbi Gamliel v'oridu migdulaso. In fact, Rabbi Gamliel, the Nasi, sent word that he should be taken out of his position because he acted shalokidin.
Ernie, since this is after the Churban bias, because Rabbi Akiva, that we still were Makadosh the Chodesh and still had the Doraisa status and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Remember, we discussed that as long as the Sanhedrin, because remember, there were stories where like Levi, Ikla, Labavel, and so that was also way after the Churban. So the Sanhedrin wandered for a period of time. It went to Yavna. As long as the Sanhedrin was in place, they were Makadosh the Chodesh. Then it went to Usha, then it went to Tveria. Then when Rebbe died, I think at some point the Sanhedrin didn't function. And then there was no Kiddush HaChodesh anymore. That's when in Bavel, they calculated the calendar. The calendar by Hillel Hashemi was done like in 240 CE or something like that. There's a date when the fixed calendar was set in, I think it was in Eretz Yisrael, but it was after the Sanhedrin was destroyed. So we asked that question because we said, and the Mechal Shabbos. So as long, even after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, there seems to be Eidos HaChodesh. Now, but you remember, Kenny, they used to allow Chilul Shabbos for all 12 months. Then they changed when the Beis Hamikdash got destroyed, because every month they had to know which Korban, Rosh Chodesh gets a
So this has to be their Tishrei or Nisan then.
So once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, that's when they reduced it to Tishrei V'Nishan, because you still had to establish when were the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. because that's the before the Gemara answered kan shebeis hamikdash kain kan shein beis hamikdash kain.
Right.
Perfect. So avuv no sharos achodesh, father and his son, they were out taking a walk and they saw the new moon. Yelchu, they should both go and be machal Shabbos to be the edim. Loshem mitzarfin zem zeh. Now, don't a father and a son are pasul leedus technically, right? You can't give testimony with a relative. However, elishim yipasul echad me'am yitzarf sheni macher. Right, one of them would join with another aid. Maybe another single aid showed up there, so one of them could be mitzaref. Comes Reb Shimon Omer avuv nofa chol hakroivim kshem leidus hachodesh. They said that a son and a father could testify. This is not edus for Malkis or for Misa. This is for Kiddush HaChodesh. It's a special inyan. Kiddush HaChodesh, you're allowed to have relatives, as we will prove. On Rav Yosi Maisa b'Tovia Roife, Sharos HaChodesh b'Yushalayim. Tovia, the doctor, saw the new moon. Hu ubnova avdo meshuchrer. There were three of them, he and his son, and there was an Eved that he had freed, who's now a full-fledged Jew. Once you free an Eved, he's a Jew. And v'kiblu hakwanim osoves b'no posel savdo. The Kohani would rather accept the edus from the father and the son rather than from the Eved who was meshuchrer, because his yichus was not a good yichus. They would only want edus from Yehudim meyuchasim. Ukashabalifnei Bezdin, right? There was the Bezdin was also in the base of Mikdash in the Lishkas Hagazis. Kibloisam vesavdo poslos bno. They held like the Tanakama, not like Rab Shimon, that an Av ubeno is posel leedus. So therefore, they'd rather have the Av and the Eved who was meshuchrer. Amar Levi, my time in Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon allowed a father and a son. Why is that? Now, who is he speaking to? To Moshe and Aaron, their brothers. Edus zu tehek shera bachem. This testimony for the Chodesh would be kosher even between you, Moshe and Aaron, brothers. What do the Rabbanon who don't hold of that do with this pasuk? Edus zu tehek mesru lachem. Meaning Moshe and Aaron are the Sanhedrin. This edus should be nimsar to someone like you and Aaron, who are going to be the heads of the Sanhedrin. Rav Yesi Ma'aseh b'Tovia Roife. Rav Chanan bar Rav Hilchos like Rab Shimon. Allah is like Rab Shimon that a father and a son is okay. Rav Hunel Rav Chanan bar Rava. Rab Yosi Umaisa. Now, Rab Yosi was a Tana that usually the halacha was like Rab Yosi. Nimuko imo. And then you tell me a story that the Chachamim wanted Tovia Roife with his Eved, not his son. What do you mean? I was sometimes in front of Rav. I said Allah is like Rab Shimon. He never said anything to me. So how exactly did you learn? How did you teach the Shitas? So he actually had reversed it. He had said Rab Shimon held that an Av Beno is possible. That's why he didn't say anything to you. However, Amar Tevi Bray Demari Tevi Amar Maluk Amar Shmuel looks like Rab Shimon, in that an Av Ubeno is pasul. They should still go that because they could be matched up with another aid, but they're considered pasul le'edus hachodesh. Mishnah Elo and Apsulin, who are considered pasul le'edus? Hamasachek Bakubia, people who play dice games, as like Sheshpesh, backgammon, and other dice games. Anything that was, gambling that was done. Rashi says chatichos shel etzem. They were made out of bone, and you would owe money based on how the game was played. Chachamim say asmachta loikanya. This is really, it's not a kinyan. It's not smachta. The guy is thinking, oh, maybe I'll win. That's an asmachta, and it's not koine. So therefore, midrabanan, people who win money by gambling are considered gazlani midrabanan, not midaraisa. the Raisa, you're a gazlan if you grab something directly from a person. But the Chachamim held that you were a gazlan, so you were not allowed to be an aid. Umav beribis, people who loan money with interest. Umafriche yoinim, people who raced pigeons. Again, gambling. Rashi says, Kain Kubya, same thing. The Soichre Shvis, people who did business with Pero Shvis. You're allowed to eat the fruit, but you're not allowed to do business with the fruit. So you see that the guy's greedy, so he's choshed on all things monetary, so they would be prohibited to give testimony, because also you'd worry that maybe somebody bribed them because they saw a inclination towards money. Any edus that a woman can't give testimony in, well, that's all testimony. The only testimony that a woman can give testimony on is what's called edus isha. For example, her husband goes to China, never comes back, and she can come back herself and give testimony that my husband died, to allow her to remarry. That's called edus isha. But all other edus in court regarding mamanis, malchus, misa, a woman is puzzle. So anything that a woman is puzzle, avhein ein on ksherim law. All these other things that we mentioned in the Mishnah, they would be puzzle as well. So ha'isha ksherim law, so testimony like edus isha, avhein ksherim law, implies that even these people, Masachet B'Tubi, would be kosher. Amar Ravashi, Zoyser Meres Gazlan, the Divrei ksherim leidus isha, that a rabbinic gazlan would be kosher leidus isha in a Chanami Mishnah. Mi Yisharasa Chodesh, V'nei Yochel Lahalech. Somebody saw the new moon, can't walk. You're not allowed to use a chamor on Shabbos, but you can put him on a chamor. If you you could carry him. You can violate Shabbos like we've been learning all along to bring him to give testimony. The imsoda lahem, if there's gangsters or armies that are on the road, lochim biyadam maklas, they could take weapons with them. If it's far away, they can take food with them. They can carry. There's no din hotzah. As long as it's shal malach la'leviyon, mechalim s'Shabbos, v'yotzei s'chodesh. As long as it's a day and a night away, those people could come. Shenamar elam odei Hashem Hashem krus amodam. Hadalach arba rosh hashanim. Hadalach arba rosh hashanim. Hadalach arba rosh hashanim. Okay. New perek sheni. Imenu makirin oso. Let's say Bezdin doesn't recognize this person. I don't know who this guy is. Maybe he's Neman, maybe he's not Neman. You've got to send the Bezdin of that town that guy's coming from has to send other people with him to say that he's a kosher yid, to give testimony in court. Only the Bezdin HaGadol in Yerushalayim, or wherever it was, that were Makadosh l'Chodesh, could do Kiddush HaChodesh. Then the Mishnah says, in fact, in the beginning, there wasn't this concern. Whoever came, they would accept him. However, the Baitusim were a sect like the Tzdukim. They had a whole different shita regarding Kiddush HaChodesh, and they wanted to confuse everybody, so they would bribe and hire Adim to show up and throw, gum up the works. At that time is when they began only accepting people that they knew. My acher, what is it? Acher is a word that implies one person. Acher, it doesn't say acherim. B'chad mi me'emin. One person, yeah, echad is neman b'isurim. But this is testimony based in. There was a case that his Adim came. In fact, Amar Rav Papa, my acher zug acher means a pair. It's not one person, a pair of Adim has to come to testify. Yeah, we know this guy and he's kosher le'edus. Makes logical sense. So what's the oso? My oso. It can't be referred to one person. Mishpak siv bey. My oso azug. That pair. Chanami my acher zug acher. Freak the Gemara v'chadloi me'emin. What, one person does not believe? Vatanya ma'aser rab noi roy. Shalach eitzel ha'ed lahoyd alav b'shabbos be'usha. there was Rabbi Neroy, who went as one aide. You see, Kenny, Usha. The base of Midrash had been destroyed already a long time when the Sanhedrin moved to Usha, and yet they were accepting Eidus. Amri Rabbi Neroy Sadach Rinavabade. Rabbi Neroy had another aide with him. Now, why don't they mention it? They didn't mention it because of Rabbi Neroy, but there was somebody else with him. Rav Ashi Rabbi Neroy Sadach Rinavabusha. There was already another aide there who had seen the Chodesh as well, who joined with Rav Neroy. Also, Rav Neroy leads to Rufi Bade, and Rav Neroy joined it. So Iachi Maila Memros, and then what's the Chiddush? Ma'al the same in this fake lo machalin shapsa. From a safek, maybe there is another aid there, maybe there isn't another aid there. So maybe Rav Neroy should not be Machal Shabbos. He is Machal Shabbos, even we're not sure that there's another aid there. Ula comes to Bavel and says, they were Makadesh L'Chodesh in Eretz Yisrael. Amar Rav Gana, Lo Maboy Ula Degaver Rabbahu de Behemin. We believe him. He's a great man. Elafilu Inish Dalma Nami Mehemin. They're just saying, they're saying, Kiddush HaChodesh happened. And why do we believe him? Even a regular person would be believing. Here's an important svara, my timer. It's a concept. Anything that is going to be found out, so he was going to be found out to be a liar if he's telling a lie. A person's not going to lie about that. So eventually everyone's going to know when the moon was created. So a regular person who comes and says when it was, he's believed. Because a person's not going to lie about something that is going to very.
I don't know about that. Look at Theranos. Look at Theranos.
Look at who?
Elizabeth Holmes. Theranos.
Stock, yeah, Theranos. What about her in relation to this?
For 15 years, she's making this up that this drop of blood is
Right,
you're gonna
yeah.
test everything. It's a lie.
The whole time, yeah.
The whole time. And what she thought the whole world won't figure this out one day? I don't know.
This is a svar in halacha. So, for example, somebody comes and says, "Oh, I'm the biological father." Well, today we know we have genetic testing, so he can be proved wrong. So that might be something where we would believe him because he's not going to lie in face of evidence that's going to prove him wrong.
That's why a woman is allowed to say, "My husband died," and to get married. We believe
That's
her.
something else. That's something else.
Why? Because he could come back, and then she's going to have mamzera.
So the svara is because we allow her to marry, and then the din is if the husband comes back, it's mamzer lazu ulazu.
Yeah.
Both the children from the first
So
time. So therefore,
so
she'll be very careful to investigate before she goes out and marries. It's a different svara. We don't know whether he's going to come back. It's not a dover she gloy lemilsa.
It could be.
But
It
what
could
do
be.
you mean?
That's why she's believed, because it can be proven against her. So she's not going to take a chance. That's why we believe her. She would say that.
No, we believe her because we make it so difficult for her on the way out. If the husband does come back, it's mamzer lazu and mamzer lazu.
So she's not.
That's why the Gemara says she's not going to lie. Not because of this svara. This svara is, like I said, other things where, like Kiddush HaChodesh. Next week, everyone's going to know when the Chodesh was. So this guy's not going to come and say, "Oh, the Chodesh was Monday," when everyone in a week from now is going to know it was Sunday because it's going to be published. That's a different svara. Like what I just said about somebody said, "Oh, this is my child." Do we believe it? Do we believe it or not? Well, because today we have genetic testing, a person's not going to lie about that, potentially. Not everybody holds of that svara, but it's based on this svara in the Rosh Hashanah.
Okay.
They used to accept edus from everybody. What did the Baitusim do? The Baitusim wanted to fool the Chachamim. They paid off two witnesses $400. One of them was a Prushi. The Baitusi gave his testimony, went out. Shalanu, our guy came in. Amrlo, Emor Ketzad Re'isa Salvana. How did you see the Levana? Amrlem, Oila Yisi b'Mala Adumim. I went up in Mala Adumim, Re'isa Shurovitz ben Shnei Sloim. It was like sitting between two rocks. Rosh Domala Egel, the head was like a calf. Oznav Domin Ligdi, the ears was like a goat. Karn of Domin Litzvi, its horns were like a deer. Znava Munachos LaBen Yaakov, the tail was between its thighs. Vitzatzti Bovin Ertarti B'Nafata, I fell backwards. The man at Tamamina, if you don't believe me, Ari Mosayim is extremely bestini. If you don't believe me, I'll show you the $200 that are in my pocket that was bribed to me. It means he was giving them hints that I was bribed. Amrulo, who put you up to this? A rumor went out that the Baitusim wanted to fool the Chacham. Amarti, I'll say, I'll volunteer. Because maybe they would have found two guys that are, evil. You can keep the $200. The guy who bribed you should be given malkim. This is when they started not accepting Edim unless they knew them. Mishnah. In order to inform distant places, when the Rosh Chodesh was, they would light a fire on the top of a mountain. And then we'll see in a minute how they did it. They spread it from, like the Indians used to do, smoke signal or fire signal, whatever. And it would spread mountain by mountain. The Kusim ruined it. The Shomronim, they would light fires whenever because they wanted to give the people the wrong dates. So at that point, they started sending physical human beings as shlichim. How did this work? Social areas arukim. They would bring cedar wood, the konim and reeds, vatzei shemen, olive wood, piston, and wicks made out of flax. The korach b'mashicha, they'd wrap it up. The oil l'rosh har, they would go up on the mountain, or they'd light the fire. They would wave from right to left and up and down. The guy in the next mountain would do the same signal. So the guy in the first mountain would know that the signal was received. And the same going on. Haramishcha is a mountain right next to Yerushalayim, L'Sartava, Umisartava L'Grufnia, Umigrufnia L'Charvan, L'Charvan L'Beis Balsin, L'Beis Balsin L'Zaz Misham L'Molech Umevi Malu Malmid. From that was the last place they would wave it up and down and side to side. Achayroi Kol HaGodol Fon of Kimdura Seish. The rest of the Golos would see a big fire there. We'll have to explain what that means. Now, my mashma de Masi Lishna de Yikudu. Where do we know that Masi means to light a fire? Dichsiv, Vayisaim David va'anashav. That David and his people lit a fire. We're going to learn that in Shmuel Beis. Umetargmina v'gdin and David lit. They would only light the fire if the previous month was declared a 29-day month, and now today is Rosh Chodesh, the 30th day from the last Rosh Chodesh. That's called Bismano. And Ve'emasayim La'ori Buro. They would light it the night of the 31st. They would light, and then they would spread the word. Everybody know that today was Rosh Chodesh. Lememra da'chosr of Dinon, Amali law of Dinon implies only for a 29-day month did they light the fire, but for a 30-day month they did. My time, no? This is a Gzeir because of Rosh Chodesh Chaser that started on Erev Shabbos. And we'll see, this has to do with how they light the fire on Shabbos. We'll talk about this more tomorrow because we're going to start the Navi Shir now at 8 o'clock. Okay. Housekeeping.